My name is Sarnail Singh. I'm President-elect of CCIM Central Canada Chapter and agent in Home Life Maple Leaf. I specialize selling commercial residential real estate, have a skilled team of 9 realtors serving in and around GTA. We have sold over 100 million worth of properties. We are facing challenges and issues during pandemic, and real estate is not left behind, especially closing real estate transactions by solicitors. Now, to discuss these challenges and issues facing real estate closing, we have invited our guest Sandeep Taneja, who is lawyer in Taneja firm and servicing in whole of Ontario. He specializes in real estate, corporate and business law, have immense experience. So let's welcome Sandeep. Please, first of all, welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself, and then we can start question and answer.
Thank you, Sarnal, and thank you for having us. It's a time when we need to discuss that how we can do our business considering government and medical guidelines. So here I am to discuss with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep. So my first question to you is, what are the challenges or issues you're finding in real estate closing during pandemic?
The biggest challenge, Sarnal, we see here is prevention of fraud. Business closings, real estate closings, everything is going on. It is not the same which was 1 month ago when we were apprehending that maybe everything could stop. Nothing has stopped. All systems are working. All we have to see how we have to conduct our business. And the bottom line is that we have to conduct the business considering government guidelines and medical guidelines. So what we have done is we have gone more electronic. So technology is here a big role to play. And then we say law has not changed. What has changed is that how do we conduct our proceedings, our closings. So we are taking a lot of help with technology and learning every day. The bottom line is that we have to see that our transactions close in a timely fashion and the fraud does not happen, and people are signing their contracts and completing their transactions, understanding what they are entering into.
Right. Now, has it impacted the closing cost, or it remains same as it was before?
No, it is the same. Everything is the same. Nothing has changed on the closing cost side. But what has changed exactly is that we are signing now documents more online, and considering the guidelines which we have from the government, from the medical perspective.
All right. Now, is there any additional conditions you would like to see in the agreement of purchase and sale, which has been brought by realtors, or even directly by the customers, or so like any specific condition highlighting the pandemic situation?
Well, in the month of March, we were maybe people were discussing about that everything will stop and nothing will happen. And then I saw some of the clauses which came up that if the whole system stops, then how do we complete our contracts? Remember, the contracts have to be completed. The law has not changed. And so now the situation is different. Now things, as of today, what we see, things are opening up. So, but we have to be wary of the government guidelines and medical, the guidelines that come up. So, what we need today is that we need to be wary of how we can close a transaction. So, for example, I would say, this is a situation as of today. I would suggest all the parties that to be very patient, whether it's a lender, it's a buyer, it's a seller, it's a real estate guy, it's a lawyer. They have to be very patient. See, the banks or the financial institutions, everybody has this added pressure. People are working remote, but they are short staff. So what we need to do is do not keep your closing, for purchase and sale on the same date. Say give it a week's time, right? So that if there is a delay of day or two, the funds are coming late or the banks are closed. So take it for Monday, take it for Tuesday, next day, or maybe 2 days. When you're next have a bridge loan, right? When if you're trying to have a bridge loan, keep a gap of 1 week and go for the next transaction. In the meantime, accommodate your other parties because we are in such unprecedented times.
Right. Yeah, because the situation comes, especially when you have the same person selling his house and buying. So you want to make sure there is enough gap between it. So right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, anything from the leaser's perspective, because I'm sure a lot of customers coming into you or the realtors coming to you, with their agreement of lease. So anything specific you want to highlight in that area?
So now, as I said, the leases could be residential leases could be commercial leases, right? Things are changing every day. And see, on residential side, there is a different perspective, but on a commercial side, it is absolutely, I would say, it's what you have written in the contract, right? Most of the contracts, I would say, is already signed. And most of the contracts, some of our clients are landlords, some of our clients are tenants. So keeping things neutral, I would say that whatever is in the contract, that needs to be, parties have to abide. Number two, it is also very important that both parties accommodate each other and see how it goes. If the government guidelines and medical guidelines come up and things open up more, so things will come back for sure, but we have to pull this out together. Right. So with that, what we are seeing these days is that everybody's relaxed, accommodating, but on the commercial side, whatever is mentioned in your commercial leases, it is the contract which both parties have signed. So let's see how things go about and how landlords and tenants considering. See, for example, from the tenant's point of view, in a commercial lease says that they give a lease to a tenant for a particular purpose, right? And that particular purpose, the tenant is not able to open the business and conduct the business. So the very purpose of conducting or the lease which he has taken this premises for, if he is not able to conduct, so he has a very good ground to discuss with the landlord that, let's see how things open up. So that's what I would say, that we have to be very careful and accommodate everybody.
Right. So Sandeep, the other question I have is, on the day of closing, the buyer solicitor transfer funds based on the adjustment to the seller solicitor. Mostly what they do is, I've seen they send a bank draft, which is delivered on the same day to the seller solicitor. Now, looking at this situation whereby, there are so many challenges and issues, so how the closing funds are transferred to the seller solicitor on the day of closing?
So now we have been right from beginning. We have been on technology side on and all these modern upgrades that we have. We have been using, and our pressure on us have been minimal because we have been wiring funds to the other side without even going to the financial institutions. So we are using wirings to send funds to the other side.
Okay, right. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, how about the house keys? Because on the day of closing, the buyer, seller solicitor has to give the keys to the buyer solicitor. So how that's been taken care?
Lock boxes. There's no need of physically, what we do is we keep a lockbox number, and on a closing date, deal closes, we give a lockbox number and parties go. So with that, so what we have to do is we have to keep social distances, right, at pace. So with the lockbox, give a lockbox, and you don't need to see the parties.
Now, the other thing is, Sandeep, is the closing documents. Now, I remember myself when I bought my house, there was a bunch of paper which I had to sign on the day of closing or a day before. Now, looking at today's scenario, which is pandemic, and we have this COVID-19, and we have a social distancing. So, how you manage to get those documents signed from the buyer or from the seller required?
So now there have been changes now. Of course, the parties do agree on both sides that they will exchange documents by email. Some builders would like the originals to follow because there could be HST gate forms and other stuff. So, but by and large, in case of wills, now there are changes that we could sign online, face to face. Say you can use FaceTime, we can use Skype, we can use WhatsApp meetings, and the clients sign in our presence. So what we have to be careful is that the clients, you actually see the client signing. When you see the client, say there is a husband and wife, and since both are your clients, so both should understand what they are signing. So sometimes, on a meeting, every person has to understand, and they have to physically take a pen and sign in your presence while they are signing. So if he's or she is your old client, and you know these parties very well, it's very comfortable, FaceTime and send by email, and then documents come to you. But in case these are new clients, or there are any red flags you see, you may have to call them, say maybe to your parking lot or somewhere, so that they understand everything, but your social contact is minimal and distant as per the guidelines of the government and medical guidelines.
Yeah, you got to be innovative, in this scenario. Now, but what about the seniors or people who are not that conversant with the technology? So how you handle them?
Yeah, that's a challenge. See, every day we are learning as client by client as it comes. Seniors, of course, see, the bottom line is that one has to, they have to understand what they are entering into, because the law has not changed, right? I would say if he cannot come to me, I could go to his parking lot, keeping a distance, and sign it if it is needed. If I say I have a client who was quite old, so I knew, and when I spoke to them over FaceTime, and they understood, and they signed in my presence, I could see that they understood, and there is neither an undue influence, there is neither any, everybody is signing voluntarily and willfully, and the documents are proper.
All right. Now, Sandeep, if someone would like to have their residential, property close, or a commercial property close, or have a lease transaction executed, what are the typical costs you're looking from, which the buyer or seller have to pay to their solicitor?
See, the costs have not changed. Everything has remained the same. Okay. What has changed is just the procedure, how we need to sign. So our standard cost will remain what we have been. There's no change on that.
So now, if someone has to approach you now, what are your what typical costs they are looking at?
I would say on a residential deal, the cost for legal fee disbursements comes to about $1,000.
Okay, right, yeah, right. Now, any other thought or comments you would like to share with the participants or the audience?
I would say that technology has a big role to play.
Mhm.
It is a time to learn technology. It is a time to see how to, those zip files and all the technology things. Learn that. This time will pass. Every time things are changing. But keep in mind the government guidelines, the medical guidelines, and based on that we have to conduct our business,
Mhm.
and we have to complete our transactions.
Right. Thank you very much, Sandeep, for sharing your thoughts. I know you're a busy person at this moment because a lot of residential and commercial closings are going on. And I will share this recording with the participants and have it upload on YouTube for others to view. So thank you very much for attending this webinar. And we have more such real estate talks coming soon. So stay tuned and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarnal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.